Welcome to the Energy Pipeline Podcast, sponsored by Caterpillar. My name is Josh Lowry. We are coming to you live from the Upright Digital Media Studios in Prang & Associates office in Memorial, Texas. I am joined by two good friends of mine, longtime friends of mine, Tim Tarpley, Molly Determan, co-CEOs of Energy Workforce Technology Council. Did I nail that? Or I kind of nailed it. I'd give that a B+. We're not going back.
No.
There's too many words.
There's a lot of words.
Let's do it.
Caterpillar's in there. There's a long intro. There's EWTC's acronym is long.
At least you got the name in the right order. Sometimes people flip that around.
How do they say it?
Energy Technology and Workforce Council.
Yeah.
Get that a lot.
Those people.
Right?
Those people. Oh, look, I'm one of the people that still... So this is a great audience. Caterpillar is been a great partner with us. Huge. I mean, their audience is massive. This show's been around a long time. So before we get going, I would encourage you guys to go to the Caterpillar Oil and Gas website. Look how they have everything indexed. This is a very educated oil and gas audience. So for people that are listening, EWTC, Energy Workforce Technology Council, is formerly the Petroleum Equipment Suppliers Association, PESA as it was known, for 90-something of its 95 years. Great transition. I mean, you don't last for 95 years without a lot of growth and transition and learning and checking out the market. So, you know, again, full disclosure, all of our companies have been a member of EWTC/PESA for really since 2007. That's my first year that I was a member of the industry organization. And now you two are co-leading it. You have vastly different roles within the company. But leading one group. So I'll tell you what, Tim, we're going to come back to you. Molly, give me the scoop on the organization first, like the who, the what's, give me the stats on it. Then we're going to go to Tim to describe like the because the reason I'm saying that is this could just be my podcast for the next 45 minutes.
Yeah, we're good.
Josh Lowry's having a great time today so far.
Do we still have to sit here? Or?
Well, I just mean there's advocacy, there's public relations, public policy. There's a lot of things. So why don't you just give me the scoop and then we'll go from there.
Sure. So Energy Workforce, like you said, we've been around for more than 90 years, and we're the National Trade Association for Energy Services and Equipment Companies. And
also AESC, the former group of AESC back in the day.
So that brought in our well servicing sector, but we represent more than 200 companies, more than 625,000 jobs just in the U.S. alone. And what those companies do is they provide the services, they manufacture the equipment, they bring the technology that produces oil and gas. And what we do on their behalf is we advocate for their interests. We also bring together committees, we bring together members to share best practices, to create industry guidelines, to continue to raise the bar for the industry. And we also provide market intelligence, networking opportunities, and we do that with our member company partners like Upright and others that help us to be able to say what's happening within the landscape of not only the sector, but the industry at large, what's happening in the market at large, and what do companies need to know what's coming up. So those are kind of the three main areas that we operate in, but there's a lot of detail behind that and the different initiatives that we have. But Tim and I have been working together for the last 10 years and for the association. And so we have a great partnership. And like you said, we cover different areas.
Yes.
But I think that we really balance each other well. And it's been a really great partnership. And I think a great partnership for the association too.
I agree. Tim? So just let me read this real quick. It says Molly focuses on people, talent, technology, future workforce needed to meet rising energy demand. Tim focuses on policies, regulation, permitting frameworks, and geopolitical factors that either enable or restrict industry growth.
That is a quite a little summary there. I mean, I think the strength of EWTC is really that there's other oil and gas trade associations out there.
No, they're not.
They will remain nameless.
Yes.
But we work with them, and when it makes sense. In fact, we all talk every Monday and get together, and when we can work together, we can work together. But we are the only trade association for energy services and technology companies. That we are the voice for that part of the sector, and that is, I think, incredibly important because, like I said, there's times when we agree, but there's times when we have issues that are only that we have a certain view on, a certain perspective. And we have our voice. We have a voice in Washington. We have a voice in Austin. We have the ability to speak for that sector, and I think that's really what brings us, separates us out.
When you say we have a voice, can you give the audience what that means on a real world? Because I have a voice, but not really. So what does we have a voice mean when you say that? Like, how do you put that into practice?
It means that we have mechanisms to have advocacy at the federal, the state, and the local level. When there is an issue going on in Washington, for example, we've spent a lot of time on the tariff issue recently. Everyone's got different opinions, right? In the industry, every different company has different views, but our companies, they have a voice. They have a seat at the table, because if you don't have a seat at the table, the discussion is going to happen without you, and the decisions are going to be made without you. So EWTC is that voice.
Well, and look, I was being a little coy there. The reality is that I believe you've won they don't call it lobbyist, do they? Is it still called a lobbyist?
He does win. He's the top lobbyist in all time for the last several years.
I'm serious about this, right? Didn't he win?
No, you're right.
Yeah, it's a list of many, not the top. There's a number of.
I've never heard of anybody else.
Senior lobbyists.
I don't know anybody else you're talking about.
Yeah.
But that's a big deal. So when the audience hears that we have a voice, they don't just kind of have a voice. They've got a top lobbyist, and I know that EWTC kind of runs away from that title a little bit just because we're doing so much more than lobbying.
Yeah.
And there's fly-ins that we're doing on a yearly basis, not only in DC, actually bi-yearly basis to DC, correct? Yeah. And then also to Austin, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, sometimes like lobbying, it's like a different kind of connotation than it really means. Really, it's just it's being a voice for the sector, for the interests that are important to that sector, and ensuring that you're in every discussion that's going to be relevant to the companies that you represent. That's all it is. I mean, that's all lobbying is, really, at the end of the day.
Well, as a fellow lobbyist, I knew that. I knew that answer.
Yeah.
No. I was actually on what I think was one of the very first EWTC fly-ins back in maybe 12. Does that sound about right? Mm-hmm. And it was really an eye-opening experience for someone who had never been up to do something like that. You're actually sitting with senators in their office with 4 people, and sitting with congressmen with 4 or 5 people, and you're talking to them, and they know your issues. And I was like, they really care. They actually do listen, and you're able to kind of like, here's this real person. And one of the things I'll never get them talking about was like, hey, giant company X. Mm-hmm. I understand what you're saying. This is really good information. And 625,000 jobs is a ton of jobs. They were like, do you have, what we really want is, I always tell people about this podcast, everybody wants to come on and talk about their widget, right? And this widget is the best widget of all time, and 8.2 gigawatts and whatever it is. The people don't remember the gigawatt. They don't remember the how this widget was built. What they really remember is, how did this widget change their life, make their life better, safer, faster, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And the ability and the genuine care that I felt like I got, speaking of lobbying getting a bad rap, our congressmen and our senators get a bad name. I mean, those people, they didn't go to DC to be bad people. They went to DC to make a difference, to try to help people. Yeah. And their ability to recall, there's a person in my district that works for you guys, and he or she does this. And I just remember thinking, like, that is a story that doesn't get told enough, that we can relate 625,000 jobs across America. There's very few states that we're not in, if any, right? I mean, I would, how many, are we in all 50 states?
All 50 for a while. Couldn't find anybody in Vermont, but I found one. So we're all 50 states. And that is incredibly important. It's also, this sector there's a perception that when you talk about energy, we're just talking about 5 or 6 states. We're just talking about your Oklahoma, your Texas, your Louisiana, and Pennsylvania. And you got to break that barrier down, because you got to go into North Carolina, you got to go into Wisconsin, and you got to form that connection.
Yes,
because you're going to need those votes just much as you're
100%. That machine shop in those towns you just mentioned are coming to oil and gas.
Right. The senator from Washington gets the same vote as the senator from Texas, and you have to make those connections. And I think it's one of the things we do as an association is to build those connections.
Well, it's 180 degrees in Texas in the summertime. I will volunteer to move to Vermont.
To be number 2, employee number 2,
in case that person is unavailable.
I think Houston would miss you, Josh. I think we would miss you.
Caitlin is shaking her head no over there.
Is shaking her head no.
Caitlin better be careful. Husband hunt. It's going to get some on-air time here.
I think you bring up a good point, though, about, on our end, one part of the advocacy that we do as well when we talk about, like, when we have a voice, in addition to the lobbying, is the work that we do telling the story of the sector. And doing that through media and other avenues. And I think that personalizing, like, there's really cool technology. There's really cool jobs that we have within our sector. But, like, the personal stories of the people that work in here, like, it's good paying jobs. And some of them are highly technical and some of them are highly skilled. But you can come out of high school, you can go to a trade school, and you can have a job that can change the trajectory for your family. I remember we started our leadership program for the field. A number of years ago, our advisory board came to us and were like, y'all do these leadership programs, but where we really need leadership is in the field and on the front line. And so we started that program. And our first, one of our first courses was in the Denver area. And so I went and was, attending the course and was talking to the guys over lunch, and they brought up, like, how did you come to be in the oil and gas industry? And so I was just sitting there eating lunch and listening to this conversation. And one of the guys was telling a story about how he, knew about the oil and gas industry living in Colorado. He had never really considered going to work for it. He had some young kids and was having trouble, like, with having a steady job. And he reached a point where he couldn't afford milk for his babies. And he remembered his friends telling him that there would always be a job that he could find in the oil and gas industry. And so he went, and the job was there, and he's been there ever since. And he doesn't have to worry about, providing for his family. Now he's thinking even bigger and about, like, his kids going to college and doing things that, like, he did not have the opportunity to do. And so I think that those stories about, like, the impact that the oil and gas industry can have on the trajectory of people's lives, it's important. And that's one of our jobs, is to tell those stories.
Caitlin does a great job of prepping notes for me. And I was reading this while you were talking and listening, and it's just incredible. I don't need any of these notes. It is amazing. As you were sitting there talking, I'm like, what am I really looking at? I mean, I can ask you about AI. We'll talk about AI. We can talk about, what is your role in your events that you host, your annual meetings, and because there's people in this list that are listening for the first time that they're going to look up what EWTC is and go figure it out. But what it really is you said it earlier. I think, Tim, you're the one that said it. It is the mouthpiece for our industry. And there are other really good organizations, but sometimes they're so big that you can get lost. And this is one where, Tim and Molly and the entire team is available, and you can reach out and figure out, how can I get involved? I'm going to just say this to the audience. Like, it is not a stretch by any way at all to say that the PISA/EWTC changed the entire trajectory of our company. In starting, we started a company in 2012, and the direct impact that EWTC had on it changed everything. I mean, it really did. And, for that, I'm thankful for it, obviously, but really you just feel like the industry needed you to kind of coalesce everybody at that time, to bring everybody together. we had a great run for a decade. The world kind of changed a little bit, and it's resetting now. And we had another guest on earlier before this. He said, remember, everyone talked about the great crew change. He's like, we're kind of at the great end of the great crew change right now. And we really are. You're seeing new workers come in. There's a lot of workforce training that you guys are doing, education. Your Oil and Gas 101, still a phenomenal event. Your leadership. You're training an entirely new segment of people in this industry to. It's going to be data center. How do we power these data centers? How do we power this AI revolution that's coming? How do we have the most intelligent workforce that we've ever had coming into oil and gas that are going to be touching more buttons and technologies than they've ever touched in their entire life, and keeping everybody safe and getting everybody home? It's still a very dirty, dangerous job, but it's going to be smart and less dangerous than it's ever been. I'm looking at this, I'm like, can I talk about the next generation, the state of the energy workforce, policy and growth? I do want to talk about all this stuff. I do. I care about it all, but it's just incredible how all of this stuff, every single part of it funnels through EWTC.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It is a small trade association, and it is a place where you come and you won't be lost. And your company story is so impressive. And it's one of the company stories that's been impacted by the involvement in the trade association. And I love hearing those stories about the deals that are made at our meetings, or
tens and tens of millions of dollars. The
collaborations that happen, the public company that happens, that is formed out of it. But it is a small trade association, but there is a lot that we do, and it's unbelievable to think about that with what's such a small team that we can cover so many different areas. One of the things that we do is every year we host all of the committee chairs to come in and talk about what their different initiatives are with each other so they can find areas of collaboration. And every year at it, I know I'm involved in these things. This is my job day to day. And I am still impressed every single year at the breadth of programs and initiatives that our small team manages to do. And that's the only way that we're able to do that is because we have members who care and that are really actively engaged.
So hang on, Tim, before you jump in this, I just want you to, I'm going to read, and Caitlin, great job. I'm going to read these topics though, because I want you to understand, tell me where person listening where your job is not impacted by these next couple of subjects. Ready? Setting the stage. Oh boy, I'm reading. I'm Ron Burgundy. All right. The state of the energy workforce, the next generation of energy workers, policy and energy growth, energy security and geopolitics, technology in the service sector, AI, data centers, energy demand, supply chain and industry readiness, the future of the energy workforce, the future of energy policy, and then looking ahead. Within those 9 or 10 different topics there, every person's job is under that subsect. Whether it's job readiness, AI demand, power, oil and gas, LNG, it falls under that subsect. And every one of those starts with policy. Everybody wants to know, how do things get done? Things get done when you go to, we always called it the business of business. You have to go do the business of business to be good at your business. And the only way to do the business of business is to go to EWTC, period. And there's nothing after that. It's a hard stop. If you're not involved in the EWTC, then you are watching someone else run faster than you. Period. Well, that's 2 periods.
It's true, and you're always gonna, whenever you work together as a group for certain issues, it's going to be to the benefit. For example, the People and Culture Committee this morning, that Molly led, hosted a webinar on how to deal with security issues in the Middle East. Right during COVID, we had our committees leading groups on how to run your company, during COVID. Working together on issues like that are bigger than one company, that's always going to benefit. It's going to benefit everybody as a sector. Putting together a workforce training program, for well servicing and for well control that is available to all the workers in that industry, in that sector, that raises the whole sector. the bar. So there's all these opportunities where you can raise the bar for everybody, and it benefits everyone.
You know, you bring up, I actually I had forgotten all about this, Steve. Just said it. During COVID, you know, we have outsourced HR and all that stuff too. But during COVID, I actually called the leadership of EWTC and I said, what are companies my size doing? What are they, you know, are they making moves yet? Are they hiring, firing? What does the policy look like? Remember the no contact? Yeah. And that's where I was getting my direction, was I wanted to know what people my size were doing from other industry companies through EWTC. Right. Where else can a business leader go? I'm not going to call my dad. You know, who are you going to call? Like you want to be able to call industry experts and how I bet you guys were fielding phone calls constantly back then.
Yeah. And we were hosting weekly calls. But I mean, I think anytime there's something that comes up and collectively, like there's an issue where companies are going to have to address it. Well, let's just do it together. You know, like the tariff task force. Yeah. Is a good example.
Right. I mean, when there's a joint, in the instance of tariffs, unfortunately, it's a threat, it's a cost, you know, but we're all facing the same thing, right? So we can work it all on our own as different companies, different, you know, trying to do one-offs here and there, or we can coalesce together and we all have the same objective and work together. And 99.9% of the time, you're going to be more effective when you work together. It's a rare issue that you're better off on your own. I mean, it comes up, sure, but most of the time, you're always better to be in a group.
Yeah. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yeah.
So like right now, still dealing with tariffs, but also like how do this morning, you know, how do we keep our people safe in the Middle East? And then how do we also take advantage of the opportunity to enter the Venezuelan market? Mm-hmm. And are there any issues there? What do companies need to know?
Right. Right. Yeah. Just 2 weeks ago, we sat down with OFAC and had a pretty.
What is OFAC?
They're responsible for sanctions.
It's within the Department of Treasury.
Yes.
Office of Foreign Asset Control. That was a good test for me. Usually I'm not good with those acronyms. I can't believe I just popped that off. I didn't know I was going to get tested.
Ding, ding, ding.
Well,
no, but it's a good example. It's okay. We have a number of companies that want to enter Venezuela. There's significant questions that the government has about how to structure the sanctions regime. They come to the association because they don't want to have one-off conversations with 8 different companies. They want to have one conversation, get a sense of where the industry is, and then everyone benefits from that conversation.
We had a CEO on the company or on the podcast before, and he said, speaking of acronyms, he said, "Well, it's obviously PBT."
Obviously.
And I said, "Peanut butter toast."
That was a good guess.
It is profit before tax.
Oh.
In case anybody wants to know. Not peanut butter toast. I should have known that from the context.
I thought it was like Permian Basin tried and true.
That's better than what I said.
Yeah.
Peanut butter toast.
Peanut butter toast felt right. It was not correct. Listen, we could take this thing wherever we want to go. Okay. It's 190 degrees. The streets are melting. Yeah. I'm in a bad mood. I mean, you can't tell because I'm in such a good mood, but it's just too hot to be in a good mood. I mean, Molly, what do we want to talk about? I want everybody to sign up for EWTC at the end of this podcast. If you are listening, go to EWTC.org, click join. Done. All right. Now, what do we want to talk about? The state of the energy workforce?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Tell me about this. What's going on? We have new workers, 625,000. Is it growing? Is it shrinking?
That is the question. So we track the employment trends within OFS monthly and then also do an annual report so you can compare and kind of look at like what are the trends over the years? What are the trends by month? What are the trends over the years? And the more interesting thing than by monthly to me is the yearly trends. And what you can see is companies are not responding to the boom and bust cycles anymore. That things are more stable in the hiring. And so it used to be that employment would go up and then it would go down. And that when you're going down, that means that you're letting go of people. And that makes it really hard to bring people back in. Mm-hmm. But what you can see over the last 4 years is a lot more stability in the jobs numbers. And so people are being really careful as we are adding work to not rush to hire too many people so that then we don't have to shed people, and it can be a more stable place to work, which is over time going to make it easier to be able to bring people into this industry and to hang on to them too once they're there. So it's like always the question is like, what's the hardest? Attracting, retaining, talent. I mean, it's all difficult, but it's more difficult if people come in thinking I might lose my job because of the industry that I'm in.
The fluctuations.
Yeah, because of those fluctuations. And so that trend is something that I think is really a great story for OFS.
It's tough to beat. I'm not going to make you answer that question twice. That was a great question.
Okay, thank you.
Tim, I do have a question that I'm nerding out about. I kind of mentioned this downstairs, but
okay, I'm excited about this.
Yeah. Well, look, I find AI and peptides to be the most entertaining things on the planet Earth right now. Okay. So we won't talk about peptides.
Thank you.
So we will.
So I don't really know what they are.
Good, because I don't either. I'm like, I want them.
That's the next podcast.
I got to learn what they are first. But AI, and I'm going to use AI, the joke of all inclusive, right? So all inclusive AI, data centers, the efficiencies that are coming from this. Mm-hmm. Are you getting questions and calls about this more often now? And are they from a energy demand standpoint, or are they from a how is this going to affect our company's standpoint? Like what world do you touch? Does that touch you at all?
The answer is yes.
Okay.
To all of those, I will say that when you're talking about energy in a lot of different contexts right now, you cannot have virtually any conversation without it going back to coming energy demand, which primarily folks associate that with AI and data centers, right? Mm-hmm. Now, there's actually other things that are leading to increased demand. We're trying to bring supply chains back to the United States and Europe. So there's industrialization going on. There's automation going on. There's other reasons why energy demand is increasing, but AI and data centers are certainly a big part of that. It's become the primary political topic that when you talk about energy, that's all anyone wants to talk about. It is what it is. We had a conversation with Congresswoman Hageman just on Thursday of last week. She came and saw us at our headquarters. She's running for Senate in Wyoming. Probably will be the senator from Wyoming next term. She also is on energy and commerce, so she knows she's got chops in energy. Nice. We were talking about a number of issues, but everything went back to AI and data centers. And when she goes back to her district, that's what folks are asking her about, and that's what they're talking about. So the short answer to your question is yes. Kind of all roads in energy right now lead to that question. And when Secretary Wright comes out and says, publicly that he thinks we're going to need 100 gigawatts of firm power generation in the next 5 years, and that estimate could even be an underestimate. That is pretty transformative, and that is really our generation's challenge. It's our industry's challenge, but it's also really a generational challenge. I remember when Chris Wright first said that, I embarrassingly, I couldn't even conceptualize how much 100 gigawatts was. So ironically, I asked AI, and AI told me that's roughly equivalent to the residential energy demand of the United States. So from Maine down to Miami. And can you imagine the energy infrastructure that is necessary to support that energy demand? We have to do that in 5 years. And if we don't do it, well, someone else is going to do it.
Well, the world's trying, right?
Right. One of our strategic competitors is going to do that. So I really see that as a generational challenge. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's good to have a challenge because who is going to solve that problem? Primarily, it's the companies that make up energy workforce.
Let me ask you a question real quick. You said that all roads lead to that question. Is that good or bad?
Well, there's always a risk. Is that everyone's so focused on one thing, you get blinders, and you don't see what's to your right and what's to your left.
Yeah.
When you're driving along, when you're going to college and you've been driving for 6 hours and you get that stare where you're only looking at the lane.
I'm a good driver, Tim.
Okay, it was a hypothetical. Yeah. But I do think there's a fear that we get so focused on this AI and data centers, we don't see other challenges that are to the right and to the left. So we got to be careful about that. But I do think that energy demand and how we meet that energy demand is incredibly important. Number one, I don't think our politics is aligned to solve the problem. I think we have the technology and the expertise to do it, and it's a lot of our companies that have the technology and expertise to do it, but we don't necessarily have the policies to back that up. And I don't think we have quite frankly, the supply chain. I think we're going to have some serious supply chain constraints to try to meet those demands, and I don't think we're fully ready for either one of those issues.
But it so clearly makes the case for why permitting reform has to happen.
Yes, I mean that is very true. I think permitting reform is a huge part of that equation.
What is? I mean, what does that mean? Permitting reform.
It means a lot of things to different people, but I'll just summarize it. Just the easiest way you can do it is right now in the United States to build a gas pipeline, and that's assuming you can get a permit to do it. And I'm talking about interstate, not intrastate. Intrastate in Texas, you can get a permit pretty quick. I'm talking about an interstate gas pipeline. If you can get a permit, it takes on average more than 5 years. That is now more than Australia and Canada. So democratic countries have all the protections and safety that we have. They're quicker than us. That's unacceptable. Let's go back to that 100 gigawatts that our friend Secretary Wright mentioned. Imagine. So not only do we need the power generation to meet that, which is primarily going to be gas. That's going to be gas power plants, maybe a little bit of nuclear, primarily gas. You've got to get the gas to where that those gigawatts are produced, and we don't have the ability to do that right now. Many of our gas pipelines are either at capacity or at close to capacity. Without permitting reform, I don't see how that gets done. Somebody could prove me wrong and do it. I just don't see it.
So when you keep saying permit reform, you're just talking about like we've got to go. It just seems like you're trying to. That's a big, easy word for a big problem.
Right. There's a lot to it. We also have state permitting reform that's necessary, which is not, when you talk about permitting reform, that people genuinely.
There's a lot of red tape just in that one phrase, is what I hear.
For sure. The way that I learned exactly like how complex this is we put on a power markets course that Dan Romito taught last year.
Love Romito.
And he's doing it again this fall. And it's like he takes you through the generation, transmission, and like all of the different permits that have to happen at every single step of the way. And it's like, well, how are we going to do this without reform and without everybody getting on board that like we have to enable our country, because if we don't, somebody else will.
It's really true. And you know, there's some good packages out there. I mean, the House passed a bill primarily focused on NEPA, which is anytime you do a large scale project, you have to go through a number of processes with different federal agencies trying to speed that up. So maybe instead of 5 years, we're talking about 2 or 3. It's a good step in the right direction. Like I mentioned, though, we still got problems with the states. You can't get a pipeline through New York State. The folks up in Boston, to get gas, they're driving gas all the way around the coast up to Boston Harbor when they're 400 miles from a huge gas field. In Pennsylvania. They can't get it through New York State, which just boggles the mind to think that
I will never forget.
We've done that to ourselves.
I was in D.C., I don't know, 5+ years ago, probably 5 years at this point, and we got lucky enough to go to a Nationals game. Yeah. So we're sitting there, and everybody was from the Northeast, congressmen, senators, in this little suite. It was pretty awesome. I was the only guy from Texas there, and then all of a sudden they found out I was from Texas. And then they found out I was in oil and gas. And instantly, like 4 New York guys turned on me. They liked me for a minute until they didn't. And they were like, hey, don't do what you did to New York. Don't do to New York what you've done to Texas with drilling. And that's back when, Marcellus was taking it. And they just railroaded me I'm telling you, for 10 minutes straight about don't do this, don't do that. We don't like oil. And I'm like, guys, give me a break, dude. I'm watching a baseball game. I mean, I'll defend what I can, and if you don't want to be reasonable, that's on you. And I finally was like, but I kept saying, but look at Pennsylvania. I said, look at this line. The number 1 Ford dealer in all of New York State is the one that is attached to the Pennsylvania state line. That's a fact. And they said, we don't care. New York, leave it alone. So finally, I got these guys to lay off me after 10 minutes of getting berated by 4 New York businessmen. They turn around, except for one guy. And he stops and he looks back at me and he says, I'll tell you what though, I own some land in Pennsylvania and it's great. He goes, we're it's crushing on the LNG. And he starts just telling me how great his property in Pennsylvania is doing. Because they're like, don't come to the Finger Lakes. That's where they were just, the Finger Lakes. Don't do that in New York. And he turns back to me and he's just like, I love oil and gas in Pennsylvania. Don't mess that up. That's why he was at the same dinner I was at.
Yeah.
And I said, hey man, I was so annoyed. I go, why don't you go tell those 3 guys that just yelled at me for 10 minutes what you just told me? And he wouldn't do it because it was a not in my backyard kind of guy.
Yeah.
But the NIMBYism of all of this it's just, of course they have it right there. They have, I mean, Toby Rice, if was on this podcast, he'd be lighting that story up.
Right.
I bet you he hears that story 10 times a month.
Well, I'm glad you held your ground with those folks, Josh.
I did. I was annoyed. Well, I got one of them anyway.
The good news is I'm starting to see it change a little bit. You're starting to hear from folks that were
I just wanted the free hot dog,
opposed to
man.
oil and gas. They're changing their tune a little bit, and it's more about energy security. It does not mean we don't have any struggles or any problems in front of us. We do. But I have heard a little bit of weakening in some of the anti-argument over the past maybe 2 or 3 years. I think Russia invading Ukraine really changed the game, and then now with the Middle East, it's even doubling down on that mindset.
The mindset that we need our own oil and gas?
That everyone needs to have energy security, and if you don't have energy security, your economy is not really safe, and your people are not really safe. I think
it's shocking that it even had to go that far.
Yeah, you're right. It should have been common sense.
A no-brainer.
Seriously. So you guys tell me, so you have the value of EWTC is what? Why do people need to, I mean, clearly this podcast lets them know, but why do people need to care about EWTC, Molly?
I mean, I think that there's a couple of different reasons. One of them is for your own organization. Mm-hmm. The way that you can make your own organization better, but also how you can make the sector better. And that is something that you can have self-interest in because it benefits your company, but also like you're serving a greater good. Like when you have your energy workforce hat on, you can see beyond the particular widget that you're trying to sell. And you can see beyond that to like, why are we in this business? What is it that we are trying to accomplish as the energy services sector? I think that we're trying to provide energy to make modern life possible. And our sector brings the jobs and the technology that does that. And so you can take your company hat off for a minute and be a part of something bigger and better.
I love it. Get out what you put in type stuff. Okay. Tim, would you add to that at all, or?
Yeah, I think Molly summarized it well. I think when you're able to look, I personally think that producing the energy that this country and the world needs is a valiant effort, right? It is working for the greater good. I truly believe that. And the companies that are in the OFS sector, they are doing it more efficiently and more safely and better than it's ever been done before. I think that is a worthy goal, and that benefits really, quite frankly, the whole country, the whole world. So by working together, I think you can head towards those goals and work to them together as a group, which I think benefits everybody.
Well, you bring up kind of an interesting point there. What sector or how much of the next workforce is going to be technical versus digital?
I mean, I think that the future workforce, a lot of the jobs will have digital components to it. Mm-hmm. I don't know that it replaces like jobs in the field or anything like that, but does it automate things? Does it make things safer? I think that it can. And I think automation is something that our companies are heavily invested in because of the piece of like, you can take people out of harm's way. You can make things more efficient. I think the companies will continue to try to make things more efficient. Companies will try to continue to automate things. And what we're excited about and interested in seeing that the companies are working on now is how they kind of bring all that to really like, what's the next big technology break in oil field services? Is it that there's automation across the services, that they're talking to each other instead of just automating a particular service line? Maybe. What does that look like? We don't know, but I think that that the future workforce is going to, have to be more digitally fluent.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And but will still be jobs in the field and on the manufacturing floor.
Yeah, I think there's
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be a force multiplier. It's not going to be a replacement. I think it's going to, you see that graph of efficiency gains. I think it's going to continue to go up and up and up as you get more automation and more technology built into the systems.
These questions are great, Kaylin. I'm proud of this. This is doing wonderful. So one of the things I think that's the most valuable of EWTC are the events. I'm skipping them. These are not Kaylin's questions. These are my questions now, just so the audience knows. I'm writing these now on my own. You guys have the annual meeting, which is incredible.
Best ever.
It is. It's an incredible event. It is typically some great location across the United States. Every CEO of every major company goes. It's how many people? 200, 250 people, somewhere in that range. So it's intimate, but yet it's fun. There's a lot of great content. So I highly recommend you join EWTC for the annual meeting. What other types of conferences and what do you call them? Events? I don't know what you'd call it.
Yeah, no, I mean, so we have 15 different committees.
Okay. And
they range from like service line type things like well servicing, well stimulation, wireline, and then, functional things like HSE and supply chain. And each of those committees puts on their own events. And so there will be a supply chain conference where...
When is that?
That's in September.
That is one of the best things that people need to know about. That has always been one of the best events in the business.
So the supply chain conference is great, and we work, and I think one of the things that we...
Is that in Houston?
Yes.
Okay.
That we do is our committees work collaboratively with the other committees. So it's not just supply chain hosting it. There will be breakouts on international trade and HSC, legal, different topics.
E&Ps from across E&P speakers.
There will be an E&P panel of supply chain leaders, and then a supply chain outlook in addition to those, into those breakouts as well. We're having a State of Energy Services conference also in the fall, and I think dates TBD, but it is, our well stimulation. So our frackers and wireline and those committees will have different panels, and then we'll have our safety awards that we give out. Our chapters, so we have Permian, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Middle East, and South America that does things in Argentina and in Brazil.
Okay.
They all host events as well, too. Our domestic chapters host scholarship tournaments because we give out scholarships to all of our member company employees and their dependents for anything post-high school for 4 years.
Great.
Industry agnostic. So they raise the funds for that. And then they also host luncheons where we'll have a market outlook and then an EMP that's active in the region. We'll come and give an outlook specific to come and talk to your suppliers. And let's talk about what partnership is today and what it should look like. And I think that's a forum that we host that we feel pretty passionate about. Is let's have the EMPs address their suppliers collectively.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
June 17th, the Energy Technology Committee will be hosting a forum here in Houston with Greater Houston Partnership downtown to answer really a lot of the questions that we were just talking about. Was how are OFS companies, how is our technology and our expertise going to answer the energy demands that are coming?
Okay, say that one again, because I want to make sure that the microphones and the cameras pick this up, because this is a big deal. So June 17th.
June 17th.
The coolest time of year in Houston, Texas. Great job planning that.
It will be inside. It is inside at Greater Houston Partnership. It should be an excellent event. And we're going to have a series of panels to really answer the questions of how we're going to do this.
The question that I just asked.
The question that you just asked.
Right.
So smartly asked. But no, we'll have a number of people smarter than me answering that question.
And that's the Energy Technology Council.
Energy Technology Committee is putting it on. It's the
me.
Energy and Technology and Policy event.
Do you know who's speaking at it so far, or who's going to be participating in it?
There are quite a few. We have a power generation panel, which is really focused on how OFS and our technology and our expertise.
This is the Caterpillar podcast. I'll be quite interested
Caterpillars.
I don't know if they'd like to know about this one.
And then we have panel on electricity.
Okay.
We have a panel on new energy, things like geothermal, etc. So it's going to cross the whole gamut. So encourage folks to check out the website and
It's like just a couple weeks from now. Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
2 weeks.
In addition to those, then we also have leadership forums that are small, kind of roundtable discussions. Like our next one coming up is Stuart Bowden, the CEO of Ranger. We just had Ryan Ezel, the CEO of Flowtech.
Ryan's great.
It was really good. It's members of our board and advisory board do those leadership forums. And then we also have the executive address that's in the fall. I think it's in November this year. That's at Topgolf, and Ron Gasick will be.
Oh, really?
Yeah, giving his leadership talk, and then everybody goes out and plays Topgolf together.
So I'm going to encourage you guys to get involved in that one as well. So that's been an event that I've been to multiple times. Maybe 100 people. I don't know. It's a fairly, not a huge amount of people, but it's Ron's a stud, knows his business, knows the business. Nice little, hors d'oeuvres speech, and then everybody plays golf. So these are the types of things where you can't, it's really difficult. I always tell people it's hard to get 20 minutes with Tim, right? 20 minutes with Molly. You're busy. And imagine getting 20 minutes with Ron. Like, you're going to get more than that. I mean, it's just crazy the access that an EWTC gets a company. And then the advocacy that it gets, professional award-winning advocacy.
Award-winning.
Multiple years award-winning.
For the record, we've always got 20 minutes for Josh.
Well, I also know how to crash a party.
Yeah, you do.
So
you do.
So I'm getting my 20 minutes. It's one way or the other. Oh, hey guys, I wasn't invited. Great. Well, I'm here now.
Happy to be here.
Is there anything I've left out that you guys want to talk about?
No, not for me.
No? Tim?
No, I think, just kind of to wrap up a lot of the things we've talked about, I think it's an exciting time to be in energy. I really do. I think you only have, a challenge, kind of a generational challenge like this once in a while. So I just hope that, some of the folks listening to this podcast who are in the space, obviously most of them would be, do kind of feel excited about that? Because I think there's really an opportunity to change the world, and I think we're like a big part of that.
Tim, the last time I interviewed was 6 years ago.
Really?
Yes. And it was...
Why did it take so long for the second invite, Josh?
Well, it was right after COVID. You've been on other podcasts that we have. Yeah. This is just with me directly interviewing you.
Yeah.
And this was, call it like June, 1st of June. It was right after COVID had really started.
Yeah. And
you came on to kind of give a much different update at that point. Mm-hmm. And I remember this one. And it was, everybody had we had the chairs moved back. Everybody had to wear a mask. We had to take them off for the interview. Right. Do you remember that?
I do.
It was a really tough time to kind of navigate. And I remember calling, he's like, hey, you guys, you got to come calm the people down.
Well, oil had just gone to zero. Actually, it was a negative.
Yeah, that's right.
For a while. And we clearly didn't know where we were going. I mean, there was so much uncertainty there. And let's be honest, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. There's all kinds of geopolitical questions out there. I don't think anybody thinks that we're just on easy street, but it does feel like it's an exciting time to be in this space, and that there's challenges ahead. That's great, and we can meet them because we've always met them as a sector.
Well, you have, and I'll kind of wrap this up here with this note. It's like, this is the Caterpillar podcast, and these guys are 100 years old this year, right? And look, who doesn't know what Caterpillar is? They're one of these brands we've all grown up around, right? Everyone knows the colors and the cat and whatnot. And you start interviewing their people, and the guy's like, oh yeah, I've been here for 25 years. The lady's like, oh, I've been here for 15 years. Oh, I worked in Canada, or I worked in London, or I've done this. And you're like, okay, but what's the theme of the company? Well, the theme is this. And I started 25 years ago. And you talk to her. Well, the theme is this. And I've only worked internationally, and I've never worked for anybody domestically. And you're like, well, that's the same. And you don't even know each other or whatever. And that's the same theme that everybody talks about. And I've been so impressed with their consistency. That's how you get to 100 years. Speaking of 100 years, EWTC, you guys are about 95 years right now?
Yeah.
95 years.
We're getting there.
Well, it matters.
Mm-hmm.
It matters. And the way you get to 100, you got to get to 95 first, right? And you guys have, I didn't bring up that interview 6 years ago on accident. When I was terrified, I called you guys.
Yeah.
And I said, come help. Don't just help me. Get on this microphone and help everybody that all of us. Tell us all what's going on as best you can.
Yeah.
And there's a consistency that comes with the EWTC that is unmatched. It really is unmatched out there. And you guys are good friends. You're good partners. We're thrilled to be a member. And but like that's why you should join the EWTC, or just listen to them. It doesn't matter. Look, if you want to be poor, don't join. I don't care. If you want to learn how to, run your business and make money, then join. If you want the best information.
That endorsement's going to go on the website.
Yes.
But hey, just for the record, we were scared too in COVID. I mean, you got to think, you're right. We're a trade association that involves people meeting each other, and you're not allowed to meet.
Right.
We didn't know what was going to happen either. I mean, we were just as scared. But working together as a group and talking through the same, when you're all facing the same issues, that's a powerful thing. It's a helpful thing.
I don't know if Caterpillar's going to like that joke as much as I did, but we'll let them decide if they want to take that one out or not.
Right.
Caterpillar communications team, I apologize for that one. Well, if you guys have anything else, I'll wrap us up before I get canceled. And by the way, I'm uncancelable. So anything from you guys? No? All right. Tim, Molly, you guys are awesome. Keep it up. 95 years. We're going to 100. We're charging towards 100. It's going to be the best next 5 years that the organization's ever had. So, guys, that's going to wrap us up on the Energy Pipeline podcast today, sponsored by Caterpillar. Look us up on all of our socials. We're on LinkedIn. By the way, I'm going to bit a plug for you guys. Your LinkedIn is where a lot of you guys, you disseminate a lot of your information, correct? Is through LinkedIn? Okay. So check out energyworkforcetechnologycouncil.org or EWTC.org. I think they both go to you guys.
Energyworkforce.org.
Energyworkforce.org. Yeah. And also on LinkedIn, on all the socials. Same with us. Look us up. Caitlin, did I leave anything out? Okay. Tim and Wally, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.